Hey guys, Nick here. I just want to do a video about my thoughts on Smallville. As most of you know, today was the final chapter of the Smallville continuity digital comic and the end of the Smallville season 11 comic book run that Brian Q. Miller has done, which was an extension of the Smallville television series. And today it's been a I know we're talking about a comic book series here, but for me, it's Smallville always meant more to me than just a TV show or just a comic book. Um, Smallville became a part of my life roughly 9 years ago when I was in fifth grade. Yeah, I was in fifth grade at the time, and this is when I first really started getting into Superman. And Smallville became almost like my outlet because at the time, I had a lot of kids. I was again like in fifth grade, mind you. I had a lot of kids picking on me and bullying me just because I was into Superman and superheroes, and it made me feel a little isolated as a kid. And with it being about Superman and me being just me barely getting into the Superman mythos and all that. At the time, Smallville became a big part of my life, and I watched roughly the first four seasons within about 6 months because at the time there were reruns on I think it's ABC Family at the time, and I fell in love with the show and the characters in it. Give or take a few here and there, but Smallville always had a special place in my heart for being one of my favorite TV shows and always making me feel that I'm not alone. Because that was another big thing about Smallville was like Clark always, felt that he was alone, that he was the only one out there, and of course other Kryptonians came and went through the show over the course of the show. And for me, I felt growing up, I felt very isolated and alone myself. Obviously, not in the same way that Clark did, but I can relate to him on a human level, on a real personal level, and that was one of the reasons I fell in love with the show because the first time and really my life I could really like connect to something like that, and I continued to watch the show from live. After I was caught up, I started watching it live in about the sixth season on, and despite it's very hit or miss episodes over the last few seasons, I was still always week after week looking forward to that show, and I became such a big fan of it. Even in the end, when a lot of people kind of gave up on it, I never did because Smallville, again, meant more to me than just a TV show. And like good or bad, like I would almost look past its flaws because what it meant to me was more than just what like the show's crappy. Because for me, like I almost had like blinders on, like I didn't see the flaws in it. I just saw like what it meant to me as not only a comic book fan, but just what it means to me again on a personal level. And after the 10th season, after like that, the final hour of the series finale was such a great time for me as a Superman fan because it's the moment I'd been waiting for. At the time, I was watching the show for about 6 years, so I was so looking forward to that. But it was also sad to me because getting even a little more personal. That was roughly a month after my mom had passed away that Smallville was ending. So not only was I losing, that I just lost my mom, I was also losing the show that probably meant more to me than any other TV show or any other comic book or anything like that. So to me, it was a little sad because it's like here I have these two things that are a big part of my life, Smallville being one of them, my mom being the other. Like losing them both wasn't it sucked to be honest. And it was less than a year later when they had announced they're doing the Smallville season 11 comic book series written by Brian Q. Miller, who had written some of the episodes of Smallville towards the end. And I was really looking forward to it. I was really excited for it because sure it was coming back as a TV show, but it was coming back as a comic book. And I'm like, like I'm fine. Like I was really ecstatic because Smallville wasn't officially over now. I want to see like this version of the Clark Kent character being Superman. And I didn't think the series would last as long as it did. I mean, it went on for a long time, and week after week I would buy the comic books and but buy the digital issues, and again it was always important to me because I think the comic book itself was better than like most of the last few seasons because it was really delving into the DC mythology and the DC Comics universe. Not only we know with Clark finally being Superman, but introducing more characters of the Justice League and dealing with like Clark being Superman, being able to do these heroics in the open with the public seeing his face. And I thought that was so cool because that's something they never really got the chance to do on the show was Clark being able to be his real self, to be a hero and be able to be open about it without having to hide. And Smallville season 11 to me, again, it sucks knowing that today was the last day of the series because all those emotions and the pain kind of come back from when Smallville initially ended. Because now it's like, well, now there's nothing else. I mean, I have all these issues. I've been reading this comic book for like 2.5 years now, and it sucks to be honest with you guys, because again, Smallville will always be more than just a Superman TV show / comic book to me. It'll always be something more, and it'll always have a special place in my heart. And I'm sorry, this is a little emotional for me. I know we're just talking about Smallville, for God's sake, but Smallville will always be one of the greatest things to have ever happened to me because it helped me realize that I'm not alone, that like other people go through the same sort of pain and emotions that I do, and made me really accept myself for who I am as a person, because for a long time growing up, like I felt like I really couldn't be myself and be open about like my interests. Me being such a huge Superman fan, I feel like I couldn't really be like that growing up because I was always afraid of being picked on and kids always being rude to me and mean to me. And now Smallville kind of helped me become who I am today, because now I could be myself. As you guys can tell, like I'm wearing a Superman shirt. I have all this Superman stuff in my room. Like I'm not afraid to hide who I am anymore. Much like Clark when he finally became Superman, like he's open about it. Like he can finally show his true face, the true face of a hero. And to me, that's how I feel. Like I got finally, not that I'm a hero, but I can finally show my true self and not be afraid of what people are gonna say. Because now it's like, what, if people are gonna like it. They are, they aren't. So being able to really be myself now helps me as a person grow, and Smallville really helped with that. I mean, but as a comic book series, Smallville season 11 was so great to me because we finally got to see like Smallville's version of Batman, which like started in that arc, Detective, which to me was a great arc because it introduces the Batman character to the Smallville universe finally, and we see him, and he's already been an established hero. He's definitely older than Clark is. And of course, like most confrontations between him and Batman, starts out with them fighting and them kind of like hugging it out and then like teaming up in the end. And throughout the course of the comic, Batman became like a recurring character. He wasn't just like like a one shot character and then he's gone. I was really really into the idea of Batman being a part of this universe now, and like him almost helping form the Justice League, which in the end is what happened. Like the Justice League was finally formed, minus a few characters here and there, but the Smallville finally had the Justice League, and they had the Watchtower and all that. And for me, it was really cool to have Batman in there because it felt like the Smallville universe just grew, not only in like a global sense with the comic books, but in a more global sense within the context of the story. So having Batman there was really cool to me because, of course, that was one thing a lot of us fans wanted, because Superman and Batman are like the two most famous superheroes of all time, and their relationship and friendship almost defines them as characters as well as like them individually as their own characters, because Batman is always like, I see them as like Superman is yin, Batman is yang, like they're opposites in characters, but at the same time, like together, like they create this balance of good. And I think Clark kind of needed that at the time in Smallville season 11. Clark really needed that guidance, and having Batman there to me was just, again, it was just really cool. and establishing other characters of the Justice League, with Wonder Woman and Olympus and John Stewart as Green Lantern and Lantern, and just having Impulse back for the brief time he was in it. That was a really good arc to me. Haunted was a really good arc. There's so many great things about Smallville season 11. It's really sad to see this end because it's always meant more to me than just another comic book series. Smallville has been and always will have a special place in my heart because again, let me come out of my own shell and help me come in my own as my own person and help me realize like who I truly am. And I'm a comic book nerd. I'm proud to say it. Like I have nothing to hide anymore. So, with that being said, to quote Smallville, always hold on to Smallville, guys. Um, and thank you guys, all of you, for helping me be able to be myself without being judged. You guys are all great. I can ask you to be part of a better fan base, a better fandom of the Superman and Smallville fandom. And that'll be it for me, guys. Again, always hold on to Smallville and continue to support the Superman character and DC Comics because without them, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. All right, thanks guys for listening and have a good one.